Hello everyone! We're going to have some great news today. Meghan has hit rock bottom, but Prince William made it clear that it would get even worse. Genetic education for Meghan Markle. Why Archie's disability check so angered the Duchess. Greetings from the Duchess. Meghan Markle wears a reminder of the title on her bag, Fighting the Monarchy. All this awaits us in the front, but for now, let's start with the first news. Genetic education for Meghan Markle. Why Archie's disability check outraged the Duchess so much. While the storm about Prince Andrew is raging in the UK, there is a heated discussion about whether it is enough to simply strip him of his titles. The Sussex team got down to business and began throwing new facts into the space that should show everyone that they are victims, and the monarchy owes a lot to the dukes. Once again, the insults that Meghan endured with such difficulty while living in the palace began to be condemned. This time, it wasn't about tights, which had to be worn all the time, or questions about Archie's skin color. During her pregnancy, Meghan was forced to take a test that was supposed to determine whether Archie was healthy or not. It's kind of a reasonable caution, isn't it? But for Markle, it became another serious drama and a cog in the conspiracy theory against her. Science for Dummies: How a Feminist Was Told About Inbreeding. According to an investigation conducted by a number of publications, it is now the rule for pregnant women in the royal family to be tested for chromosomal abnormalities. The official reason sounds scientific and even caring. The royal family has a little-known history of having children with disabilities. Many royal houses in Europe are very closely connected, so the gene pool can be quite small, which increases the chances of having children with abnormalities. Even though Meghan wasn't a royal, it didn't change the fact that she had to get tested, the insider quotes. Imagine you come to a family where you have married cousins for centuries, and then you are outraged that you are being asked to check whether centuries-old inbreeding has affected the child. What was that? Not tyranny, it was a short biology course for those who believed that personal history was more important than the general one. While Meghan was talking about women's rights, archivists were leafing through albums with photographs of Prince John, who disappeared in the wilderness of Norfolk, and the Bowes-Lyon cousins, who had long been recorded dead so as not to spoil the statistics. They tried to explain to her, "Darling, it's not about your feelings. It's about making sure your child doesn't become the next exhibit in the Kunstkamera of family secrets." And they probably hinted about the age of the expectant mother too. But she didn't seem to understand. Skeletons in the royal closet, the rogue prince and the cousins who didn't exist. Why was this rule introduced? To understand this, you need to embark on a dark journey through the secret pages of family history, which, by the way, Meghan was told everything about. According to the assurances of the royal experts, she had to make such an excursion after another tantrum and an attempt to refuse testing. What can we say with a high degree of confidence? Or rather, about whom? Prince John, the youngest son of King George V, who suffered from epilepsy and learning difficulties. He wasn't just hidden from the public, he was isolated in a cottage in Sunderland, entrusted with the care of a babysitter. His own family had practically abandoned him. He died at the age of 13, forgotten by everyone except his devoted servant. Bowes-Lyon sisters, cousins of Queen Elizabeth II, Catherine and Nerissa, who were born with learning disabilities. In an era when disability was considered a disgrace, they were admitted to Royal Earlswood Hospital for life. Why was this rule introduced? To understand this, you need to embark on a dark journey through the secret pages of family history, which, by the way, Meghan was told everything about. According to the assurances of the royal experts, she had to make such an excursion after another tantrum and an attempt to refuse testing. What can we say with a high degree of confidence? Or rather, about whom? Prince John, the youngest son of King George V, who suffered from epilepsy and learning difficulties. He wasn't just hidden from the public, he was isolated in a cottage in Sunderland, entrusted with the care of a babysitter. His own family had practically abandoned him. He died at the age of 13, forgotten by everyone except his devoted servant. Bowes-Lyon sisters, cousins of Queen Elizabeth II, Catherine and Nerissa, who were born with learning disabilities. In an era when disability was considered a disgrace, they were admitted to Royal Earlswood Hospital for life.
But the most shocking thing is not the fact of their isolation, but an attempt to erase them from history. The publication Burke's Peerage, the secular Bible of the aristocracy, in 1963 officially recorded them as having died in 1940 and 1961. In fact, Nerissa died in 1986 and Catherine in 2014. Imagine this picture. Two women, cousins of the reigning queen, spend their whole lives in a hospital. They are well aware of their origins and, seeing the queen on TV, curtsy to her. On Lady Diana's wedding day, they watch the broadcast and stroke the screen, trying to touch the holiday that passes without them. This is not a plot for a Gothic novel. This is a recent history of the British royal family, and that's just what the tabloids have unearthed. What else is the royal family hiding? I think the rule about testing in the modern world is a necessity not only for the royal family, but also for any other family. But for Meghan, this child was a guarantee. And again, omit the conspiracy theories that say Archie is rented and Markle did not give birth to him at all, that she would take root in this marriage. She will take a more solid position as the mother of a person of royal blood, the heir to the crown under certain circumstances. While we find out how Meghan is trying to take a warm place in high society, I remind you that there is great news waiting for you in the front. The business plan of the offended bride, or scandal, as a currency. According to the same source, Meghan was not thrilled about having to take the test, but it was unpromising to discuss, like most traditions in the royal family. The same insider tells the tabloids that Meghan just kept repeating that she didn't understand why it was necessary. Or maybe she understood everything perfectly, but she turned over all such facts and actions and put them in a box, which the tabloids would later call Megxit. She's saving this story for her memoirs, the sources assure. And that's what Meghan Markle is all about. It turns any procedure into a commodity. Prenatal screening? Not a medical necessity, but a future chapter in a book that will overshadow Harry's spare. She joined a family with a charter written in blood and dynastic marriages, and naively believed that her charisma would undo centuries of paranoia. It didn't work out. Either charisma was not enough, or the royal family turned out to be too insensitive to the views of Bambi the Fawn. But this fatal misunderstanding has become her main asset. She is a failed reformer who has turned her own helplessness in front of the system into a brand. The double standard as a profession. Once again, the moral flexibility of our heroine is striking. On the one hand, she talks about stigmatization with pathos. She categorically condemns the facts of hiding people with problems from society and is ready to lay down her husband's life in the struggle for the rights of people with disabilities. On the other hand, the fact that her unborn child could be considered imperfect haunts her like a nightmare. Meghan has everything perfect. A convenient position. Other people's disabilities are a reason to expose the system, and the hypothetical risk of one's own is a personal insult. The failed revolution with the DS monogram. No one, of course, is fooled by these new sufferings in public, except for the most loyal fans. This is not an injury, but a long-term investment. Meghan is not licking her wounds. She catalogs them and prepares them for sale. Each forced procedure is another auction item for her resentment. The disability test is an ideal product. He allows you to play the victim of the system and fastidiously disown the very possibility of a wrong child. Double payoff. You can condemn the monarchy for its dark past while sharing its main fear, the fear of spoiling the blood. It's a great business model.
It's just a pity that it's built on children, both the unborn and those who were sent to hospitals 100 years ago, so that people like Meghan can tell with pathos how they almost suffered.
And now we come to the main news for today. But the next news is also no less wonderful, so watch to the end. Meghan has hit rock bottom, but Prince William made it clear that it's going to get worse. We're watching in real time as Meghan Markle approaches her most natural incarnation, Kardashian. There have always been signs of this, but now they have increased significantly as celebrities such as Oprah, Gayle, Jay-Z, and Beyoncé, as well as Tyler Perry, seem to be keeping a significant distance from her. The same thing happened to major corporations that once dealt with Meghan, who Spotify turned away from. Their Netflix deal with Harry was downgraded to an unspecified first look agreement. Her short podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, came to an end, and her As Ever brand, launched only in this year, it already seems to be failing. Meghan, who was recently ridiculed for sporting her gaudy bag with the Duchess of Sussex logo, invited herself to the Balenciaga show in Paris earlier this month, where she immediately posted a video showing her legs in the air as she drives past Diana's tunnel in a limo with a driver. Quite in the spirit of the Kardashians. Tastelessness plus an outrageous effect and a touch of shamelessness is perhaps Meghan's most convincing recipe to date. The latest stunt raises a very real question. Did Meghan film these heartless shots for a potential documentary about Diana for Netflix? After all, 2027 will mark the 30th anniversary of Diana's passing. Perhaps Meghan is currently preparing their commercial for Netflix. And who better than Kris Jenner to guide her through this blatant exploitation? Before moving on to the evidence that Meghan may be in the Kardashian doll phase, let's take a look at what Meghan and Harry might portend over the past few days. The public and official expulsion of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson from royal life and the family itself, as a result of which Andrew and Sarah were forced to give up their titles, apparently took place with the support of Prince William. In the battle between King Charles, known for his steadfastness in avoiding conflict, and the sober, more pragmatic Prince William, William seems to have won. Harry has just received a harsh look at his and Meghan's shameful future under the future King William. In discussions with the king, as well as my immediate and wider family, we have come to the conclusion that the ongoing allegations against me are distracting from the work of His Majesty and the royal family, Andrew said in a statement. My immediate and wider family. Royal expert Hilary Fordwich said there was only one way to interpret this statement. Prince William was the driving force behind this process, and he's right, she said. Prince William is much more attentive to the viability, reputation, and ultimately the existence of the monarchy. Does anyone really think that Prince William, after this prank with Diana, will allow Meghan to keep the royal title? Not to mention any real connection to the British royal family? Of course not. And Harry is back in exile, as the king is the only member of the family willing to reconcile. After the September meeting with his father, a meeting that Prince William reportedly opposed, Harry sabotaged any progress by allegedly sending an official letter to the British Interior Minister requesting a new assessment of threats to his security. After Megxit, the taxpayer-funded protection of the Dukes of Sussex was discontinued. However, Harry does not accept the answer no, even though he lost all 3 hearings and the last appeal in court, which was filed in May. Indeed, it may be embarrassing for the king to put up with a son who continues to fight His Majesty's government. This complicates the situation for the king, a court source said. It won't help matters. We're back where we were.
This statement seems to imply that there is nothing the king can do to appease Harry, who clearly cannot be trusted to act in good faith. And conscientiousness is an epithet that no one else applies to Meghan. So why not turn to Kris Jenner, the queen of the dark arts, who can stir up almost any scandal? Why not turn to a matriarch whose daughters have left no shortage of husbands and ex-boyfriends, Lamar Odom, Scott Disick, Chris Humphries, and Kanye West, who are worse off than they were before they were born? The woman who, after her husband moved on from Bruce to Caitlyn Jenner, turned her anger and humiliation into another sought-after reality show. Meghan Markle may have finally found the mom she needs, from the words mom and manager. According to rumors, it was Jenner who turned her daughter Kim Carr's home video, shot when Kim was 23 with her then-boyfriend Ray J, into a media empire. Proof A. Among the first celebrities to receive limited edition first batches of jam from Meghan was Kris Jenner, who posted her jar on social media, surrounded by crumpled, uneven lemons. Jenner was ranked 13th out of 50 recipients. Thank you, she wrote then.
The earliest known beginning of this most unholy union dates back to August 2023, when Jenner and her daughter Kim were photographed with Meghan's mother, Doria Ragland, at the 5th annual This Is About Humanity party. Oh, how Meghan loves humanitarian endeavors. 2 months later, The Mirror reported that Jenner was looking forward to welcoming Harry and Meghan into her ranks and into her Hulu show, The Kardashian Family. It's no coincidence that all the Kardashians move in the same circles as Meghan's new circle, the source said at the time. How things have changed. After just 2 years, it seems that Meghan is the one who needs Jenner's help. Obviously, each of her projects, no matter how actively it was positioned as Meghan's true passion or as the most sincere expression of where and who she was, turned into a complete failure. Full list: 40 by 40 Initiative, August 2021. Pearl, animated series for Netflix, announced in July 2021, canceled without ever going into production in May 2022. Spotify podcast, Archetypes with Meghan, August 2023 to December 2023. Documentary series, Heart of the Unconquered, filmed with Harry, August 2023. Polo is a Netflix documentary series, filmed with Harry, December 2024. Confessions of a Founding Woman, April 2025 to June 2025. The series With Love Meghan on Netflix, March 2025 to December 2025. In this latest endeavor, Meghan failed to get any real A-list guests, neither Taylor Swift, who reportedly ignored Meghan's written request to appear on her Archetypes podcast, nor Oprah, Gwyneth, or Michelle Obama. As for Meghan's As Ever product line, distributed in conjunction with Netflix, it seems that she was also a loser. In September, the Daily Mail reported that the streaming giant was likely to let leftover merchandise run out along with their merchandising deal. So who better than Kris Jenner to give Meghan another chance at success? Markle has no other influential players left. Jenner and her daughters, as it turned out, have been collaborating with Balenciaga for a long time, which would undoubtedly make it easier for Markle to attend this show to which she was not invited. If anyone can turn the Markle brand into something marketable, not necessarily respectable, but just commercially successful, then Kris Jenner is probably the only one who can do it. As Khloe Kardashian, another recipient of Meghan's debut jam release, advised at her mother's masterclass in 2022, without a success-oriented mentality, what will you become famous for? If there was a more appropriate question for Meghan herself, I wouldn't have come up with it.
Greetings from the Duchess. Meghan Markle wears a title reminder on her bag, fighting the monarchy. What were Meghan and Harry saying when they stood with their belongings at the door from the palace to the free world? It seems that the main condition was not to use titles for commercial purposes and not to poke them in people's noses at all. But if Harry is somehow holding on, then Meghan is no, and she will make a mistake in this sense. Well, she likes being a duchess. She likes how the letters DS look together. What now? Yes, it's the same. 5 years after the loud disassociation from the monarchy, countless interviews about recovery from the institution, and here he is, a new, brilliant act in this play. A modest but telling detail, a shopping bag from Longchamp, which proudly bears the initials DS, Duchess of Sussex. Yes, the ones that remind her of the racist royal family from which she is so furiously healing. And explanations from the Duchess's team in the style of, "What's the big deal?" A bag as a reminder of the title. If you remember, Meghan posted a strange short video, now she is developing in this direction, from an expensive hotel in New York where you could see barefoot Harry. But there were other interesting moments in another video. Imagine this. A luxury hotel, designed in the best traditions of impeccable but soulless glamour. Meghan Markle, the former star of the TV series Force Majeure, now the star of her own show called Independence, is marching through its corridors. She's carrying a suitcase and that shopper is on it.
Not with the initials MM, which could recall her own pre-royal career, and not even with the name Harry, in honor of the spouse for whom everything was started. No. The bag is decorated with DS in a large white and blue color scheme, the Duchess of Sussex. The public, as usual, appreciated the gesture. It is clear that no one sells a bag with such letters. This is a special order. Please don't tell me that she ordered a bag with the initials DS with a title from a racist royal family? Didn't she say in her speech to Fortune that she was recovering from her time at the institution? Similar comments were gathered under the video. Indeed, just a couple of days before, Meghan had been broadcasting that she was just now starting to recover from the nightmare that had happened to her at the palace. The questions in the comments are, I must say, rhetorical. However, as well as the following comment. Even the real original members of the royal family don't do that. This is cringe. Terribly tasteless. Expertise from protocol experts. What is good taste for a person who has left the palace? It turns out that this is a question that worries thousands of internet etiquette experts more than the fate of nations. It's so terribly tasteless. She's such a vulgar person, says a third user. The fourth one goes into philosophy altogether. She is nothing without this title, although she didn't achieve much with him either. The irony of the situation, of course, is that the institution itself has long since moved away from such a straightforward use of titles in everyday life. You won't see Princess Beatrice with a PY bag, Princess York, or the Duchess of Cambridge with a DOC monogram, Duchess of Cambridge. That would count as if it were softer, unfashionable. It's like wearing a formal tiara to a polo match. But Meghan, being an outsider, approached the issue with American directness. If there is a title, why not paint it brighter? With compliments from Her Royal Highness, the shadow of HRH. But one shopper is just the tip of the iceberg. The real scandal broke out a few months ago when Meghan's friend, Jamie Kern-Lima, with all the simple-mindedness of a businesswoman, put on display a thank you note from the Duchess. There was an inscription on the postcard. With compliments from Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. And we remember again, 5 years ago, when leaving the firm, Harry and Meghan solemnly swore not to use the prefix HRH, Her Royal Highness, either in public or in commercial space. This was the fundamental condition for their exit. But as it turned out, in private correspondence, in those most intimate moments not for prying eyes, this prohibition apparently does not apply. HRH has quietly and peacefully migrated from official letterheads to personal cards accompanying gift baskets. This is the ultimate in the art of hypocrisy. Publicly, you are a victim of the system, a fighter for freedom and independence. Privately, you sign your full title, making it clear who exactly your partners have the honor to communicate with. Historical parallels, from Lady Di to Deal or No Deal suitcases. Critics immediately recalled that this was not the first such gesture. In 2021, Meghan was spotted carrying a black Lady Dior handbag, a model that the brand named after the late Princess Diana, Meghan's mother-in-law. So what? The monogram DSS was emblazoned on the bag. The sharp-eyed royal observers instantly deciphered. Dus is probably Duchess, and O is of Sussex. It turns out to be an elegant, if somewhat creepy, connection of the times. The bag bearing the name of Diana, the most famous victim of the royal system, is used by the daughter-in-law, who also fights the system, but at the same time puts on it the title received from this system. There's some poetry in it, the poetry of cynicism. The line between these concepts is very blurred here. One can't help but recall Meghan's past, working as a suitcase girl on the game show Deal or No Deal. The irony of fate. Back then, she literally carried an accessory behind her as a prop, a symbol of someone else's game. Now she carries the bag as her own manifesto, a symbol of her own big game. Independence with the royal monogram. So what's in front of us? An innocent love of personalized accessories? Then why not MM? Or is it a subtle move, almost ingenious in its hypocrisy? Although, it's not that thin. Do you want to know the arguments of Meghan's defenders? Meghan and Harry have earned the right to dispose of their titles as they wish. They won back their freedom. Like that. Yes, real members of the royal family do not need to prove their status through monograms on shoppers. It is given to them from birth and follows them invisibly, without any embroidery. Meghan, being a self-made woman in the royalty world, has to confirm this, literally, on the fabric, in large blue letters. One thing is certain. In her desire to both reject and appropriate royal privileges, Meghan Markle demonstrates truly masterly skills, at least somewhere. She plays the role of the dissident duchess with such gusto that she doesn't even seem to know where the scene ends and life begins. And the monogrammed bag is the perfect, albeit terribly tasteless prop for this endless performance.